The one thing that I would like the rest of the world to know about Pakistan is that primarily we are a South Asian country, not a Middle Eastern Arab Muslim country, but a South Asian Muslim country. Now that implies that we share with the South Asian population the aspirations for rule of law, for an independent judiciary, for democracy and franchise. And all too often we are mischaracterized, and by mischaracterizing us, dictators are supported here and the judiciary is subordinated to the will of the dictator. Only recently, I'd like the world also to know, as an adjunct of this thing, that only recently we've had a lawyers' movement. The movement brought in democracy, the movement brought in an independent judiciary, because people wanted rule of law. They went after chasing concepts, pursuit of sheer concepts. Concepts like independent judiciary, rule of law, equality before the law, habeas corpus, due process. Now these are what the Pakistanis espouse and embrace, and that is, I think, what Pakistanis must and Pakistan must be recognized for.
What do you think is the biggest challenge Pakistan faces currently, and what do you think Pakistan needs to do to combat it?
Well, I think the biggest challenge Pakistan faces is the terror, Taliban insurgency, and the economic meltdown, partly because of that insurgency also. So we need, definitely need counter-insurgency and effective counter-insurgency. But we also need economic progress, and that means we must fight and we must have, first of all, again, rule of law, because nations and these systems and progress and develop economically only where you can enforce your contracts. People invest in countries where they are sure that their contracts will be enforced, and that is the countries in which the judiciary is independent. That is primarily what we need, and but we need economic stability, an end to corruption. The corruption eats up at the vitals, and of course, first of all, first and foremost, we need to fight the insurgency, which will make and create the space for economic growth. The Long March of the Lawyers was one part of a 2-year struggle. The Chief Justice of Pakistan was deposed by a military dictator in March 2007. He was reinstated because of the incessant movement in March 2009, exactly 24 months later. The Long March was one of the events during that resistance movement for 2 years. But for 2 years, we were non-violent, we were totally peaceful, we held rallies that were not aggressive, that were not reactive even to police violence. We wanted and chased concepts. It was probably the only movement in the entire Muslim world which was for plurality and was a plural movement in which Hindus, Sikhs, Christians and Muslims all participated with equal vigor. So that also tells you a lot about Pakistan. The lawyers' movement was a kind of an image of the Pakistani that we have, and because it was a hugely popular movement. In one other episode, besides the Long March, it took the Chief Justice and me to driving 150 miles between Islamabad to Lahore, 26 hours to get there, because everybody and their grandmother was on the streets to welcome us. 26 hours I drove the Chief Justice from Islamabad here to Lahore. So, and it was totally peaceful. Not a leaf was broken, not a window pane was shattered, but we were determined to get change through peaceful, non-violent, unarmed, peaceful means. Yes, I think access to information, access to communication, availability of communication like the mobile telephone, and it's multifaceted, fourth generation coming in now, and information, access to the net is going to empower people and strengthen democracy. It's going to make governance more transparent, certainly more transparent. And that is also very good for this world, our planet Earth. It's good if governments are transparent, because the more transparent governance is, the more people are participating in the process of governance, the more the governments become more conscious of their duties towards the citizen. Because we have, particularly in non-democratic eras in Pakistan, in non-democratic countries around the world, and even in democratic governments and countries, governments that are more prone to taking decisions for elitist or personal or party interests. Openness, transparency, exposure will make that more difficult. The governments will be definitely more accountable and responsible towards the people of the country.